Hi, I'm Alexandra Barker. Welcome to Relief Beyond Belief, exploring the world of natural healing. Each week on the show, we look at a different aspect of holistic health and examine one of the many paths to total mind, body, and spirit wellness. And today's topic is Buddhism and meditation, and my special guest today is Gen Kelsang Tekshen, who is a Buddhist monk, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And Tekshen is going to discuss, give us a bit of an overview about Buddhism and teach us some ways we can incorporate some of his techniques just to bring ourselves more peace and more happiness. So again, welcome, and maybe you could begin with giving us a little bit of a background. How did you come to Buddhism?
Right. I first got involved in Buddhism in 1993. After graduating from university at Western, I went backpacking around the world. Through Southeast Asia, and eventually I got to India and Nepal. And during that time I was an avid reader and asking myself the big questions: why are we here? And the nature of the mind, trying to understand. I was trying to think. It was occurring to me that how my mind reacts to things, or the relationship between my mind and the world around me, there seemed to be a very deep relationship. If my mind was peaceful, things appeared peacefully to me. So I was really interested in the relationship between mind and object, mind and the world around me. So I was into psychology and that. But I was also, during the hecticness of life in India, there's so many things coming at you. It's like an assault on the senses. I was getting a little stressed as well. My mind was getting agitated and things. So I was interested in meditation. And I'd met some backpackers that had learned about calming the mind and developing inner peace through meditation. So I went to where the Tibetans are relocated, up in Dharamsala in the north part of India, and I started to study Buddhist meditation. And I was amazed that not only did Buddhism offer meditation techniques to calm the mind by focusing on the breath and removing distractions from the mind, but it also taught how to develop the mind based on the understanding that actually our mind does create our reality. So if we can create a mind of love and compassion and wisdom, we can generate more and more inner peace and make the world a better place through developing the main creator of the world that we live in, the mind. So I hadn't started a career yet, and it was amazing to see people who had made a career out of developing their mind for the benefit of others, and people ordained as monks or nuns. So I didn't decide to become a monk then, but I definitely decided to make Buddhist meditation a key part of my life. And then I came back to Toronto, and I was amazed that the same instructions that I learned in India were presented by a Tibetan Buddhist master, Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, custom-made for people in the West. So he'd written 19 books helping us to develop our mind. So I studied these texts for a few years in Toronto, and went back to England at their main center and studied each summer. And then started teaching a little bit, and was asked to come to Kingston to teach, and then to Belleville. Yeah, so it's... So
you're currently offering courses in Kingston and in Toronto, Kingston and Belleville, as well as in Brighton at the Relief Beyond Belief Yoga Studio. So that's wonderful, just spreading the word to that many more people.
Yeah.
And so what do you tell them when you're sitting down with people who are basically, they might be a little bit familiar with meditation, but the whole, most of us aren't that familiar with Buddhism. So what are some more common questions you get? Well, I know one that leaps to mind, like your garb, your robes.
Right.
What's the story there?
Right. Well, the robes, basically when we ordain as a monk or a nun, we wear these robes actually to remind us of our spiritual training. So one of the main aspects of ordination is to take vows, to mainly not to harm any living being, through abandoning killing any living being, including insects, and to abandon lying and stealing, and to practice contentment and maintain inner peace by reducing our desires, our desires attachment. So these robes actually help us to remember our path. So it said there are 3 robes of a monk or a nun, and they symbolize moral discipline, disciplining the mind, concentration, which is the main way to make our mind powerful and to familiarize our mind with wisdom and compassion. And finally, this yellow robe symbolizes wisdom. So from a disciplined mind, we develop concentration, and then we develop the wisdom, realizing the way things actually exist, which frees our mind from delusions and from negativity, frees our mind from suffering. So basically, when people come to the center, either in Kingston or Belleville, they're coming really to try to reduce their suffering. You know, they've got some difficulties in their life, maybe through their relationships or in their workplace. You know, they're trying to solve the problem. They have a wish to solve the problem from within. You know, developing some inner peace, or they're trying to just develop more happiness, more peace, more harmony in their life and in their mind. So that's really the first thing that I try to clarify with people, is that Buddhist practice is emphasizing solving our problems from within, finding happiness from within the mind. If our mind is peaceful, you know, external conditions, no matter what they are, we can maintain a peaceful state. If our mind is agitated through anger or jealousy or attachment, then no matter how wonderful our external conditions, you know, we can't enjoy them. So some people just come just to enjoy life a little bit more, you know, by maintaining some inner peace, but some are actually looking to develop this wisdom to achieve liberation or nirvana, or actually to achieve the fully awakened mind of a Buddha, you know, enlightenment. So I think as long as your approach is to develop peace from within, I think Buddhist teachings can offer many different approaches at whatever level, whether you're religious or non-religious, whatever level, methods to calm your mind. Yeah.
Well, let's look at, I guess, meditation. Now, we've set up somewhat of a shrine here. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what a shrine would be used to just help you focus your attention to do meditation, or I guess contemplation would be the first level, and then your meditation. But maybe I'll invite you to share that with us a little bit.
Well, basically, often I think, you know, when we think of Buddhism, you know, we're new to Buddhism, we think, you know, large Buddhas or images of Buddha. You know, this image here is an image of Buddha Shakyamuni. So he was the founder of Buddhism 2,500 years ago in India. But since that time, he taught, actually he gave 84,000 teachings on how to train the mind and develop the mind. So after he began to teach, many practitioners, thousands, achieved Buddhahood. They achieved the same state that Buddha achieved. This is the goal, actually, that we're trying to achieve, you know, with a wish to help others. We understand that we need to help ourselves. We need to remove all confusion, all negativity from our mind, out of compassion for others, out of a wish to be more able to help others. So the ultimate goal of a Buddhist is to become an awakened one, someone who's awakened from the sleep of ignorance, and really able to help others. So having an image of Buddha, you know, we're inspired by his guidance and by his instructions, but we also are thinking, you know, may I become just like you? You know, may I become an awakened one? You know, and so it's not necessary, but many people are inspired to have an image, just like maybe teenagers have an image. You know, if they want to be a great basketball player, they'll have, you know, Vince Carter on the, you know, on their wall, and they just think, may I become just like you? So for me, you know, when I grow up, I want to become a Buddha. You know, I think, may I become just like you? You know, become someone who's really able to bring benefit to others and really possesses deep inner peace. So yeah.
Well, it must be really interesting to be, I mean, in the old days, a monk would be, you know, you'd be cloistered in a monastery where you wouldn't be faced with all the sorts of temptations that, but here you are, like, you know, red-blooded Canadian man walking around, but still trying to achieve the same goals and overcome the same sorts of things. So that must be quite a challenge for the monks and the nuns that are, because this is, you were saying to me earlier prior to the show that this is sort of a precedent, this new way of bringing the teachings to the West. So
yeah, it's true, actually. in the past, teachings have really been restricted to monasteries or nunneries. You know, you did have to ordain and live in a cloistered environment in order to receive the teachings on how to develop our mind, develop wisdom and compassion. So, you know, my teacher, Geshe Kelsang, lived that sort of a life. He studied in the great monasteries, and then he did extensive retreat and meditation to gain experience of the instructions. And then he was invited to come to the West 25 years ago, so he established a meditation center in England. And he quickly realized that setting up monasteries and nunneries wasn't going to fly in the West, because although people had a lot of interest in spirituality, in developing their mind, learning to meditate, improving their good qualities, they also had an interest in you know, having a job and raising a family and being a part of society. So what he established was meditation centers. He's actually established over 350 centers now around the world, 35 countries. But established them in the cities where people can come, and maybe one night a week they can learn how to focus on their breath and develop inner peace, and maybe learn how to meditate on a mind of love or wisdom, and then go use that practice on their children, on their family, on their coworkers, and bring more harmony to the world. So, and then also, if we want to study more in-depth study programs, or if we even want to become a Buddhist teacher, a meditation teacher, Geshe Kelsang established meditation programs, again in the cities, where people can train, you know, gradually, and achieve inner peace while, you know, being within the society. At the same time, he recognized that there are people that do wish to take the discipline of an ordained person as a monk or a nun. So what he did was he made it very equal. You know, if a man or a woman wishes to take ordination, they wear the exact same robes, we take the same vows, you know, really trying to practice contentment and reduce our desires and these sort of things. But doing that in the context of helping others in society. So I think many, because this is such a new tradition, it's only 25 years old, it's steeped in lineage going back 2,500 years, but it generally is quite new. I think monks and nuns, I mean, for myself, I don't meditate, you know, 8 hours a day. I just don't have the time. You know, I basically do my practice, meditation practice, but a lot of times it's, you know, making publicity and you know, fielding calls, sending faxes, answering emails. So it's,
doing the PR thing.
yeah, and just you know, helping people, meeting with people. So I feel, in a way, you know, developing this inner peace, but also helping the community.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're just going to take a short station break, and then we'll be back, and then you'll share with us some techniques for meditation that we can incorporate to our Belief Beyond Belief, exploring the world of natural healing. We're talking about Buddhism with Gen Kelsang Tekchen, and you're going to now share with us some ways that we can bring a little enlightenment into our own lives, and some different forms of meditation, maybe. And I was, you know, happened to be privy to one of your courses, and I just loved the how you compared the mind to like a, you know, a little anxious little puppy, you know, an untrained mind, yeah. And whereas a disciplined mind was like a, you know, a well-behaved dog, and we all know the difference. So yeah, so how do we get there?
Well, basically, Buddha taught two types of meditation, and meditation is really the backbone of Buddhist practice. Basically, the first meditation, the type of meditation we try to do is called a preliminary meditation. And we're doing exactly that. We're trying to calm our mind down, the little puppy dog mind. Our mind normally, naturally, is very busy and very interested in many, many things. It's actually all over the place. You know, it thinks, you know, different people, different objects constantly. So it's actually very weak. It's scattered. Our mind is blown by distractions like a balloon in the wind. So we lack access to the actual deep power of the mind, you know, the deep inner peace of the mind. Our mind is actually naturally peaceful, believe it or not. You know, if we leave it alone, just like when we leave a lake alone without adding wind to it, a lake becomes very still, very peaceful, very calm. If we leave our mind alone and just let it become still, just focus on one object, our mind naturally experiences peace and tranquility and focus and concentration. So what we do is, to begin with, is we just focus on one object, and a simple object is to focus on the breath. Just to focus on the cooling sensation as we inhale through our nostrils, and the slightly warming sensation as we exhale through our nostrils. It's very simple, maybe even boring, especially to our puppy dog mind, very boring object to focus on. But what we're training in, it's a training, it's a mental training. Meditation isn't just emptying our mind of thoughts or finding a happy place. It's actually training the mind. So our mind right now, if we just do one meditation, we'll realize how untrained our mind is. And so our mind is constantly going to distraction after distraction. So what we do is we focus on the breath, and we just try to keep our mind still, aware only of the breath. And then when our mind wanders to a distraction, we recognize it's wandered, and just like training a puppy dog, we bring it back and say, stay, stay. And we train it over time to follow our instructions. We actually gain mastery over our mind. If we want to think along this line of reasoning, we do. If we don't want to think about this, we don't. So, if we don't want to think about our boss that always gets us, upset and agitated, we actually have some mastery over our mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to think like that. Right now, we have no choice. So the first step is gaining control over our mind and gaining some concentration and experiencing inner peace, which is what I really appreciated. It's not theoretical. It's very experiential. So I experience peace, and then I realize meditation works. And then we're ready for the second meditations, which are called the profound meditations, which are found in some of the instructions that Buddha gave, such as texts that Geshe Kelsang wrote, where we contemplate some spiritual instruction. We do some contemplation, some what's called analytical meditation. So if we, let's say, want to generate a feeling of love for others, we can rely on some instructions that Buddha gave to contemplate the kindness that others have shown us, contemplate the good qualities of others, how others have provided us with everything. Without others, actually, we're nothing. Realizing how interdependent we are in this world, rather than thinking we're isolated and we don't need anybody. Actually, we realize everything I have, my body, my clothes, my education, my ability to use language, all the amenities of life, all come from hard work and effort of others. We can also, maybe we begin with our parents, thinking about how much kindness they've shown us. And just what we do is we familiarize our mind with their kindnesses. And then in contemplation, our view of them begins to improve. It begins to change. And we start to get a feeling in our heart through contemplating in this way, a feeling of love and gratitude and respect for others. We start to see them in a very beautiful, peaceful light. And naturally, we develop a wish to repay their kindness, to make them happy. And that's really how Buddha defined love, is a simple wish for others to be happy, to repay the kindness. It has no self-concern, no strings attached, no conditions. It's just focusing on the other person. Pure love like that doesn't just arise naturally. Maybe it does if we're lucky, but for a lot of us, pure love, without any self-interest, needs to be cultivated. And I just couldn't figure out another way to do it other than by changing my mental view of others through contemplating hidden truths, such as their kindness, how much I benefit from them. And then through contemplating this way, when we get this feeling, we stop analyzing, we stop contemplating, and we just hold that feeling of love. So we're viewing maybe our family and friends. We've just contemplated their kindness, and we hold that feeling, just wishing them to be happy. And our mind is very peaceful with that mind of love. And when we come out of meditation, everything we think, say, and do is very conducive to harmony and improves our relationships. Actually, people feel it. They feel the special energy that we develop.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I think people will pick up on that.
It wears off because our habits are strong. Our selfishness maybe comes back a little bit. Our attachments come back. What's in it for me comes back. But meditation is actually a daily practice. So we're not going to get it right the first time. But each day, if we deepen our love or our wisdom, understanding some hidden truths through instructions that Buddha gave, each day we become a little bit more peaceful and a little bit wiser and and more loving and compassionate. So if we really want to make change, we need to take our intellectual understanding of the person we want to be or should be, we think we should be, and bring it into our heart so that our gut instinct is very pure. It's wishing for others to be happy or free from suffering. So meditation is key. If it just stays intellectual, just listening to teachings, reading about it, we'll be inspired for a few minutes, but it won't actually change our behavior. So that's the main thing.
It doesn't sound all that difficult, though. I mean, to sit, and I guess you would start with someone you're not maybe having a challenging relationship with at that time, and think about, all their good qualities, and then you could probably, as you get stronger, extend that to even somebody you were having a really hard time with, and send them lots of loving.
Yeah, that's good advice. starting with people where you have love for, but also the stickiness of attachment. Attachment we confuse with love. Sometimes with attachment. Attachment is thinking, you're here to make me happy, and it's actually about me. So I'm in this relationship because I think I can get some happiness out of you, and so my mind is full of expectations. And it's these expectations and this stickiness in our mind that we need to recognize and wean off of, gradually remove from our mind and improve love, which is a wish just, you're important, your wishes are important, you've shown great kindness, just wishing you to be happy. If two people have that attitude towards each other, it's a perfect basis for a harmonious relationship. If two people are coming at it with attachment, you're here to help me, no, you're here to help me, then, those don't last very long, those relationships. So it's just very practical advice, I think. And the instructions are quite simple. It just takes, we just need to develop a wish to engage in the practices and learn the methods, and then do it, sit and meditate each day.
Yeah, and I think it wouldn't matter what your religious background, what your beliefs might be. You wouldn't necessarily have to have an image of the Buddha, but just those ideas would be...
No, whatever, we could have a shrine of anyone or anything that inspires us, to develop these virtuous, peaceful states. I teach also in the prison system, and most that I teach are Christian or Muslim background, but they also have a wish, because they've got a lot of time with their mind, they have a wish to develop their mind, to improve their mind, and they have a strong faith, and they can draw on that, but they can also learn the difference between love and attachment, so they can think about their family members in a helpful, meaningful way without getting depressed or upset. So Buddhist psychology, I think, is helpful for everyone, regardless of your religious background. But if you want to go into deeper spiritual practice, like the path to liberation or enlightenment, then it's helpful to follow just one particular tradition all the way. But I think in general, understanding our mind and developing our mind, whatever, if you wish to be happy and free from suffering, that's the way to go, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, well, we're coming close to the end of our time. We only have a few minutes left, so maybe just some really practical applications. So just to review, like you were saying, the breathing, just concentrating on, noticing how warm the air is as you breathe in and slightly cooler as you exhale. And then I guess if that got really too boring, I know because I meditate with your CDs. Another one is the Om, and then hold, and then Hum. And you can explain what that's about, because it's really your area. Yeah,
well, sometimes mantra is very helpful. Mantra actually is Sanskrit for mind protection. It protects our mind. So another mantra, or another meditation we can do with the breath is we can recite the mantra, which represents purity of body, speech, and mind. So Om symbolizes, in this context, the purity of body, Ah, purity of speech, and Hum, purity of mind. So we breathe in and think Om, wishing to achieve purity of body. We hold briefly at our heart, think Ah, and wish for purity of speech. And then we breathe out and think Hum, wishing for purity of mind. Again, in the context of compassion, for the benefit of others.
What I really like about your CDs too is you always have where we think about others, just to really solidify the meditation. So at a time like, well, it was prior to the towers coming down, and so like you could just send sort of love to those people, or the war, to Afghanistan, and feel like you're doing something in some small way. At least you're.
It's a large way, actually. I think we underestimate the power of the mind and the power of, because we're so interconnected, if we develop a very powerful, pure state of mind and send that energy outward, it has a huge impact. I mean, when I was watching the towers coming down, for a while I watched, on television and was amazed at what had happened, but finally I just said, well, the only thing I can do about this is to improve the quality of my mind for the benefit of others, improve my compassion, improve my wisdom, because it's only wisdom and compassion that's going to keep the world in one piece and keep harmony in the world.
Yeah.
An experience of it, not just rhetoric and talk. Yeah.
Wow. And I know we're coming very close to the end of our time now, so just, so these courses are available at your center in Belleville, and what's the name of your
it's Lamrim Buddhist Center. It's at the Community Resource Center, Quinte, 41 Octavia Street on the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
And we offer introductory classes both Tuesday evenings and Thursday evenings. And we also have lunchtime meditations, just breathing meditation for a half hour, 12 to 12:30. If there's some agitation in your mind halfway through the day, get a quick peace fix and go back into your day. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good. And as I say, we're going to be offering some courses, or you're going to be offering some courses in Brighton as well at the Relief Beyond Belief Studios. So people can contact you for more information regarding that. And we're just about to finish here today. I wish we had more time. There's lots more to talk about, but we're going to put your number up so people can reach you.
Great.
And certainly invite them to do so. And I don't know, any final quick little blessing to send out?
I hope maybe this inspires people to develop inner peace and solve their problems from within, because it's exhausting going the other way. There's a saying, we have two choices. We can either, if we want to protect our feet, we can cover the whole world with leather, or we can put leather on our feet. The same effect. So we can either try to control everybody and fix everybody and change externally everything to fit our needs, or we can change our mind. And if we have a mind free from anger, we're free from enemies, and we have friends wherever we go. So it's an easier way to go.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Thoroughly
Thank you for having
enjoyed
me.
it. Oh, you're very welcome. And yeah.